Alright, so today we're going to talk about wholesaling 101, okay? So, real estate wholesaling, we talked about some basics and some ideas about how things work. Um, and today we're going to get into more details about how you actually get these people, how we find them, what type of leads we're working with, and what you need to do to secure your first appointment, first contract, first closing, and you get the check. Cool. So real estate wholesaling is we contact people that they're, have some type of problem. So the list of people that we usually contact is this: people, absentee owners. You can write these down as I go. Divorce leads, pre-foreclosures, code violations. You can write them down. What else? Tied landlords. Ugly houses. High equities. I can say behind on their payments, which could be also pre-foreclosures, but pre-foreclosures, they go public. That's when they give you them the notice of default, where public, they'll let everybody know this property is going to foreclosure. But if you can get them before that, where they're just behind on their payments, that's also a type of lead you can consider it. So absentee owners are people who own properties, they just don't live in there. It could be tenant occupied, or could also be vacant. So they could also be landlord, they just not in this area, right? They just not living in that particular house.
Was that one say tired?
Yeah,
tired landlord?
Yeah, tired landlord. Tired landlord, ugly houses, high equity, sorry my handwriting, behind on their payments, vacant houses, and
Sorry.
very good. Alright, so you got the absentees. So basically, you own a property, you don't live in it, they call absentee owners.
Okay.
So we kind of go through the city tax records, figure out who has a property at 123 Main Street, but the tax billing address is different. So if you have Canadian, but your tax and bills, they go to some other address, like when they send out your taxes, and when your tax billing address is different, you're an absentee owner. If you're going through a divorce, usually the quick solution for that is to sell the property, split up whatever is left, so you don't have to deal with repairs. Now who's going to make the payments, unless you have some type of agreement. Now what we do is, these are also public records that we could go in there, call them, hey Mr. X, I see that you're going through a divorce, sorry to hear that, but we could provide you a solution about your property. You don't have to repair anything, you don't have to worry about who's going to make the payments, who's going to take care of the properties, take care of the property. And what we do is we give you cash money for your property. You don't have to worry about paying closing costs and repairs and putting it on the market or showing it, right? So it's just a simple solution for them. Now, pre-foreclosures are people that usually are behind on their payments, at least 5 payments, and the city will send them a letter called notice of default. And with the notice of default is the trustee that they had on their loan, right? It's usually your attorney that handles the sale, right? When you sign your mortgage documents, there's a form that called deed of trust. That deed of trust has the interest of the bank or the lien on your property. And they're saying if for any reason you miss your payments, we can use that in order to sell your property and get our money back. So that's where they publicly announced this person. They start putting on newspapers, and online, on websites. It goes everywhere. It goes on court records, and that's where you need pre-foreclosure situation. And banks send a notice out saying, I'm gonna auction your property in about 90 days at this location. Somebody either buys it. If nobody buys the property goes back to the bank. Then they'll do something like cash for keys, or do just a big deal. That's after the foreclosure is done. But pre-foreclosure is like about 30 to 90 days that we could find these people, either take over their payments, either buy their property for cash, or list on the market for them and sell it. So they can avoid foreclosure, they can save their credit and move on with their life if they really can't do anything about the house. Code violations are properties that you pass by them, you see the roof is falling apart, the windows are boarded up. Usually when the city says the windows are broken, some type of violation that they've done, or the neighbors, they called on them. Usually you see a yellow note at the front door with the violation, call the city inspector, and you can see that. But there's a list that we will pull for you that has a list of all these properties on it in each city. But there's some type of violation on city records showing that this person didn't cut their grass, they didn't maintain the property, the window is broken, so the city had to send somebody to board up the windows, or the pool has been dirty for a long time because the property is abandoned. They come in and take it out because of mosquitoes, whatever, in the neighborhood, something like that. So they usually go on their code violations. Tired landlords, me being one of them, are people who are just simply tired of dealing with the rentals, dealing with the tenants. The tenants are messing everything up, right? So we find this for rent signs, or we go ahead and find, again, absentee owners that they have a tenant in there. They could also be a tired landlord. So we get a list of people that they own a house and they're renting it out, which they're absentee, and we're just looking for motivation to see if this person is really tired of dealing with tenants for the last 15 years. Every week there's something broken. They just say, okay, whatever, I don't want to fix it up again, I don't want to deal with rent tenants again. Give me this much amount of money to just have me out of this deal, out of this house. Those are tired landlords. Ugly houses, anybody could own an ugly house, but the repairs are too much for them to afford to repair it. So if the roof is leaking and the house is updates, and they don't have the money to put into the house, to put it in the market, to sell it at the retail price. We go in there and we usually say, hey, don't worry about the repairs, we buy it in as-is condition at this price. If the number works for them, we take it, repair it, put it back on the market and sell it for a profit. Or sell it to an end buyer when you're wholesaling, and for an assignment fee when we find these ugly houses. The best way to find these ugly houses is driving around the neighborhood. So whenever you're driving around, there is an app called HomeSnap. You can download that. You already have it, right? And you take a picture of the front door, and I will just put the address in. You can save those addresses. Then you could put those addresses in an email, send it to Albrenda. She will find the phone numbers for you and send it back to you. So you can call them and tell them, hey, I passed by your property and I'm interested in making you a cash offer. If that person haven't paid attention to the property, is falling apart, and they're like, okay, yeah, give me some money, I can cash out, I don't have to deal with it again. Well, we get it at a discounted price, invest the money into it, resell in the market for a profit. High equities are people who have their houses almost paid off, mostly like older people. So we call them, offer them alternatives of, hey, aren't you tired of cutting your grass? Aren't you tired of maintaining a big house? Why don't you go live in a condo? Cash out the equity that you built up with some money, like if it's like the money you've been saving in the bank for years, and it's time to enjoy it. Sell it, buy a smaller house, a smaller condo with no maintenance or any issues like that they need to do. They take care of your trash pickup, your cutting your lawn and they keep everything clean and nice. Uh, and the money that you have in your pocket, enjoy it for the rest of your life, or save it somewhere, or invest it somewhere. You're living in a 4-bedroom house and it's just like just you, and those are high equities. So from like having, you know, paid off to maybe 20% left on their loan, 25%, we'll consider them high equity properties. Now, property could be high equity, could be absentee and retired landlord, or multiple things at the same time. That just adds up to their motivation. Make sense?
Mhm.
Questions so far?
No, at the moment, no.
If they're behind on their payments, as I told you, it's like pre-foreclosures, but they just maybe miss 1 or 2 payments or 3 payments. And there is ways we could locate these people. We could do like online ads and say, hey, what do I do when I'm behind on my payments? How do I sell my house and capture those leads? And so we can just help them avoid any type of more damage to their credit, and also helping them avoid foreclosure. If the property is vacant, somebody could own a property, they just left it vacant, they not living in there, there's no tenant in there, and the property just sitting vacant, they just making mortgage payments.
Mhm.
So our solution to them is, hey, stop wasting money on that. If you're not here, you don't want to deal with tenants, why don't you just sell it for cash? Last one, which is also a really good one, is probate. Do you know what's probate? So the probates are when somebody dies and they have no will, and the property goes to whoever is the closest to them, I believe, right? So if there's like 4 or 5 kids this property's going to, this usually challenges between them, hey, who's gonna pay the mortgage, who's gonna pay the water, who's gonna keep the utilities on. What we do is, they also go on court records, and we reach out to them, say, hey, we'll pay your attorney fees, so keep that in mind for probates. We pay your attorney fees, we donate all this stuff under your name when it comes to like, hey, what are we gonna do with the stuff? And we give you cash, you don't have to deal with realtors, and you can split the cash however you want between yourselves. There's going to be attorneys involved because of the probate process.
Just basically if they don't have anybody on their will.
Yes. Call them, we offer solutions to them. So by the end of the day, all of these motivations, you're gonna call. Go ahead.
So if they died, right?
Yeah.
Who are we calling?
Well, whoever their name is on the property after them. So usually on the court records, you will see the probate file, and it has a list of names with their phone numbers or their addresses that this property is gonna go to. Those are the people we call. Or there's a real estate attorney that handles that, or attorney that handles that, we just call the attorney to figure out if he can help with that. There's other type of leads too, like bankruptcy. So if anybody file for bankruptcy, there's out-of-state owners. So if anybody files for bankruptcy, we get a list from that list of those people that we can call them, offered in the same solution. And it's gonna be out-of-state owners. You don't live in Virginia, but you own a house in Virginia. So this is the type of leads, type of people that we usually target, usually look for. That's the type of people we offer a solution to. Absentee, divorce, pre-foreclosure, code violations, tired landlords, ugly houses, high equities, behind on payment, vacant, probate, bankruptcy, out of state. Cool?
Mm-hmm.